completely complex way this thing is moving. So that's what. All right, so we are live and on Facebook. So namaste, Rima ma'am, and
Namaste.
welcome to the Learning Experience conversation that we have every Friday evening at 7:30 now. And the learning experience conversation is had with teachers, educators, people who are working on education reforms, and we are glad to have you with us today. So welcome to the learning experience. And as discussed with you earlier, for the first 45 minutes or so, you would be having a conversation with our co-founder and host, Itu Chopra. And then I'll join you in the last 15 to 10 minutes to just have a dance of insights and share some thoughts about what can be done in the education sector and so on. So, all the best. Take care, and over to you, Itu.
Thank you. Thanks, Jerry. Namaste once again, Rima ji.
Namaste.
Uh,
Yeah.
Absolutely glad to have you over with us here, and you and your school is part of our initiative that we started with Rex Karambir Global Education Change Champions Fellowship and Awards in 2019. And your school and you were part of that mission and that work. And before any formalities, I'm just going to dive directly into conversation with you, because I know a lot is going to come out from there, and a lot of learning and a lot of knowing you is going to come out from there. And this is my question to all the teachers and all the educators and all the school leaders that we come here, that take me with you to your childhood. Tell me about your childhood, your growing up years, your school times, your college times. Take me there and take all of us there.
Thank you, Itu. That's a question generally we are not asked often because, people see us as what we are now. Yeah, but I'm very happy to share that. I'm an army officer's daughter. So you can imagine my childhood was spent in, a very green environment in safe cantonments of different small towns. And we moved a lot. You know how it is with the army children. Every 2 years we would pack our bags and move to a new town. And but I think that we learn to adopt and adapt. And I remember a very like it very being a very adventurous but a very happy and satisfied childhood. Everything like was in place and there was no want of anything. We just used to look forward to the next posting of that and then happy to go there, make new friends, go to a new school. So that transition, I think we all got used to it, me and my brother. And I changed 8 schools in all. So I feel I mean, when somebody says I've been in this school right from kindergarten or nursery and I graduated from 12th, I mean, it's a emotion I can't connect to. And I feel good that I could change so many schools. I made so many friends all along, met so many kinds of people, teachers who influenced my life. While in school, I was a very good student. Academically, I think I've been good throughout. But I was always on the sports field. So I think I was more determined to make sure that nobody could stop me from going to the sports field. So I should make sure my homework is done, my assignments are submitted, and my grades are good, so that everybody is happy if I'm away from the class, also attending any competition. So I was into yoga, I was into hockey, I was into basketball until the university level into basketball. Every opportunity I used to get, I used to be, want to be out on the sports field. And then college went through the typical, I don't want to do the typical things. I don't want to do engineering. My grandfather was very keen. I become a doctor. My cousins were doctors. We had a domicile of J&K. I'd gone to Srinagar one summer and I spent 2-3 days in the hospital with my cousin. Both of them were gynecologists. And I came back very sure that I'm never going to become a doctor. I don't want this kind of a life. Went through the usual typical teenage, I want to be a model. I spent another day at a television studio. My cousin was an anchor. It was such a boring day over there. Then air hostess, because I was tall and I am tall, so I think that was put in my mind. And but somehow, eventually, I landed up in Lady Irwin College. I wanted to specialize in nutrition. I think being a dietitian that time was a new career. It was not the typical ones. It was coming up, and I thought, okay, this is something interesting. And so I did my bachelor's from there, and I topped the college. So I got this first seat into the masters. There were only 7 seats. So mom and dad said, no, you have to do it. Now you've got to see it. And, nobody says no to a free seat because it was an entrance exam and all very limited seats, so not easy. So I eventually did my master's and I graduated out as a therapeutic nutritionist. And then, of course, life changed. And so this is about my school and college. And if you have the other question, then I can go how
Yeah,
I became a
very
teacher.
interesting. That's very, very interesting because I can relate to moving part of it. I have grown up in a very small army town, and my husband was in the army, so moving and proving, and I was doing
Yeah.
teaching by that time. So every 2 years, and I can understand. My daughter changed 8 schools before she went into a boarding school.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
number of schools to be changed, but I think uh, army life, the beautiful camaraderie, the bonhomie, and the homogeneous kind of atmosphere that we have, as you rightly said, shoots up your adaptability quotient,
Yeah.
shoots up your malleability and ductile kind of a person you become. And you also start to learn a lot from changes that come about, and you start taking change as a way of life.
Yeah. And
And
two more things I would like to add, discipline and time, value of time. I think that's again, my father plays a big role in that because he's an army person. I think being disciplined in your life and managing time and being on time, I think that's something which till today, if somebody is not on time, it irks me, like, okay, unless there's a genuine problem. And I do remember as children that sometimes we used to reach before time where we were supposed to, and my dad would take a couple of extra rounds, because we are not the people are not ready for us. He started commanding a unit and he was the main person, chief guest, and we would take extra rounds because he says no, there's still 3-4 minutes, but we won't be late, but I can't be early also. So we used to go around the roundabout, I still remember, to while away time to be on time. So that's
yeah,
something I am particular, and I like to stick to that even now.
yeah, I can relate to it because in Delhi or in most of the places, 9:30 means 10:30. People will
I
start.
still can't. I can't do that. I
I can
still don't
totally
like that.
relate to that.
I haven't
Yeah,
got used to that culture. Yeah.
yeah, and on a very beautiful learning from your journey as a child was that you said you excelled in sports, but you loved sports. You liked going out in the
Yeah.
field,
Yeah.
but you never compromised on your work that you had to do, your assignments that you had. So you would do that duty diligently.
Yeah.
Again, the discipline part, and
Yeah.
then go out and excel in the field as well. And so, would you say that sports played a very major role in kind of tuning you into the kind of person you became? Till that you
Absolutely,
talk of.
absolutely, absolutely. I think it teaches you so much being on the field, discipline, of course, and how to be part of a team, how to be an
Team.
individual as well as be part of a team, how to be balanced, how to be caring. You have to care for your team members, and so many qualities. I think conflict resolution, so much is learned
Yeah.
on a field, and I even now I'm very passionate about sports. Any free time for me, the best 2 months, because IPL is going on every evening. Youngsters are coming up. There's so much to see and know. So tennis happened just now. So whatever opportunity I get, and what my de-stressing is watching sports, and
I'll
I
come back
really.
to your IPL thing later because that's controversial. I'm going to provoke
Okay.
some thoughts on it, and I'm sure Jerry listening in will also provoke some
I
thoughts
meant
on that.
cricket. I meant watching cricket and cricketers, budding cricketers.
Yeah. So tell me, that's so beautiful, Rimaji. But tell me, how did becoming a teacher happen? Was it accidental? Was it passion? What
Yeah,
was it, and how did that happen? Because as you said
yeah,
that you studied to be a nutritionist, and that's
yeah.
also a science, and you topped in all of that, and you loved that. Then how did teacher and all of that happen? Take us through that journey of becoming a guru.
Yeah, no, so actually, I'm absolutely an accidental teacher. After my graduation, I mean, master's, I started working as a dietitian. I did a short project with for UN first on food research for the Anganwadis and Balwadis. It was about food
Hmm.
related to food. And then I had done my internship from All India Institute on therapeutic for my thesis and all that. And I went into a clinic, weight loss clinic. It began from there. Then I worked as a a dietitian at a heart clinic also. So it was going well, and I was really enjoying it. Meanwhile, I got married, and my husband was based in Tea Gardens. So there was not much opportunity over there. I did my B.Ed. I did a correspondence B.Ed. I said, my mom said, okay, no, you should have, tea life. You don't know how long will you live there, and I was getting restless just being a planter's wife and on a beautiful, beautiful campus bungalow, all the luxury there, everything there.
Which part was it in
This was
Northeast?
Assam,
Northeast.
Northeast, yeah.
Which
So,
place?
and this was near Tezpur, Rangapada. I don't know if you know. Yeah.
I know of all of that
Okay,
area a lot.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, great, great. So, and I almost joined Assam Valley. Assam Valley School had just opened then.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen. We moved back to Delhi because things, there was a lot of antagonism there in the Northeast that time, and my husband decided to move to Dubai. So I had already experience as a dietitian, and when we moved to Dubai, I joined him after a few months. I feel sad to share that my degree was not recognized over there in the Middle East. Even though it was gold medal from Delhi University, I topped the university there also, but I would not get a job the kind I wanted as a dietitian. So I didn't want to compromise on that. I didn't, want to do night shifts and just for the sake of doing it. So I went into teaching. I had done my B.Ed, and sometimes what is the least option for you becomes the only option, And today I thank my mother for making me take that degree, which is widely recognized. Even at one point, you're thinking of applying for immigration to Australia, that B.Ed was recognized, So you just don't know what happens in life. As they say, you make plans, but life makes plans for you. Life happens when so that's how I got into teaching, and since then there's no looking back. There is absolutely no looking back since 1999. Yeah, I think every day I thank my stars now that I got into this profession, which till today I can say every day is a new day for me. There's no monotony. It keeps me on my toes, it keeps me alive, it keeps me challenged. I am a bit of a doctor, I'm a bit of a lawyer, I'm a bit of a counselor. Everything I get an opportunity to play multiple roles in this. And I am a dietitian also. I still handle school kitchens. So it was wonderful. Since then, I think there's no looking back. And I came into teaching thanks to Middle East. And just when.
So, what is one aspect of teaching that you love? And I think in life, nothing goes waste. I think learning comes into forefront when we take it as learning and use it into whatever we are doing right now. And that you've said so beautifully. So you said you're a bit of a lawyer, you're a bit of a dietitian, you're a bit of a counselor, you're a bit of a teacher, and of course you're a school leader. So what is that one thing that you love when you fell in love with teaching and being with students?
Just interacting with students and hearing them, being with them. Every morning my day starts at the gate of the school, and they come with their bright faces. They come, so eager. They come jumping and hopping into the school. So those interactions with them, talking to them, what makes them think, what makes them tick, what's going on, what do they want to do. Of course, most of them don't want to study. They don't want to be in the classroom. They want to be on the sports field like me. Any kind of something you do, they do well, and I say, okay, this was great, ma'am, can we go and have a free period, can we have a PE period, and I totally relate to them. And I have to sometimes bribe the principal to allow it to happen, because I'm on their side. I understand why they want to be on the sports field. So I think that interaction with the students is something, and seeing their happy faces and enjoying every bit of it. Luckily I'm in a school which allows that, this international curriculum where I am. Every child, uh, it's very student centric, and every child is allowed to be himself, herself, and blossom. There's no different kind of a burden on them. So I enjoy it even more then. Yeah.
So you're lucky that you are in an IB school, that where as you said, it's child centric. But as a school leader, do you also think that it depends on the school leader to kind of twist and turn the school curriculum or the way we do the teaching and planning and all of that? Because it's so important to not follow all the rules.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, learning is what is more important, not just rote learning, or not just what's given in the book. And also at Rex Karambir, you had attended the
The
conclave of our teachers and so we talk about that it's more important to lay emphasis on character, or lay emphasis on doing things that you really love, you're passionate about, not just the school curriculum, because there is a life outside the four walls of the school, and school should be the place where they teach life learning lessons. So do you think you've been able to bring that aspect into your school, because you're heading it and it is IB? So how do you do that? Give us a little peep review into that.
Yeah, so actually being an IB school, it's been very easy to bring in this kind of values and opportunities for students in the school. IB has a framework. They have standards and practices laid out, which give you a framework of how you need to plan this running of the school. And other than that, they don't dictate the content. So that is entirely up to the school. We are an international school in India, in the national context in India. So the curriculum content we can adopt from the national curriculum, which is what worries the parents, if the children are going to be in college here and what are they going to get. But the pedagogy is dictated by the IB. How do we deliver that, and how do we make it concept based? And the values which IB focuses on, there are a set of 10 values which are so beautiful, I think, which are totally universal. Being knowledge is only one aspect of it. There are 9 other values. So, all that we have to ensure is being developed amongst the children. We have to create those learning engagements. We have to give them opportunities to display those values. We have to recognize and celebrate those values. So the teachers are trained for that. So it all becomes a fabric of the teaching and learning process. Nothing is add-on. It becomes a very natural part of the program. And that's how every child blossoms. And that's how, I think the children you see, they enjoy what's happening because it's something which they can immediately grasp. There's no pressure of, mugging and coming next day and just reproducing that. We make them think, okay? Even if we teach them content, the assessment is based on application of that content. It's not about reproducing that content, but it puts a lot of onus on the teachers to prepare them for that. There is no textbook. Mostly we don't have textbooks, very few textbooks. So teacher has to create a very resource rich, learning engagement. She has to search, she has to research, she has to plan, and then she has to transfer that for the students. And amongst all that, she has to ensure children are knowledgeable, they are principled, they are caring, they are responsible, they are thinkers, they are inquirers. These are the values which dictate our teaching and learning.
So that's also a lot of spectrum given to the teacher to kind of innovate and be creative. And I think that also the students imbibe a lot in the IB curriculum. I'm going to be asking you something, also in your school and also as a school leader, environment consciousness is something that you lay a lot of stress on. And that's also one of the values that is very, very important, because I think in the times that we are sitting, and the ticking bomb is the environment, climate change thing. And it's happening at such a fast pace that before we blink our eyes, we are losing out on so much. And so tell me that about that aspect in your school, and as a leader, what is that you're doing about it?
Yeah, so as I said, the IB, allows you to bring in real life situations. For everything we teach, it's very important. And I think all of us now realize that if we connect anything to real life, children learn it better, they learn it longer, they remember it longer. And we can't ignore what's happening to the environment. These are the children who are going to look after the planet, as we say, for themselves, whatever we have done to that. And it's very important as educators for us to create that awareness, help them make the connections for the sustainability, and also I think for health benefits. Long ago, I read a book by Richard Law, Last Child in the Woods, which talked about nature deficit children. These 21st century students are nature deficit. And I think we can all relate, they're all apartment kids. So somewhere that stuck in me that, okay, we must do something through the curriculum to make sure that we bring in nature, and that's how we raise environmental consciousness. So we put together a back to nature curriculum. And every opportunity we got, we brought nature into the children's life, which a small thing like even a herb garden. There were so many children who had not even seen coriander growing. They only knew that it comes from the supermarket. They'd never seen coriander seeds being sown and then it can grow. Only few moms who do that probably in their balconies and terrace gardens and all. So we have that back to nature curriculum where we connect children to nature, connect children to the environment, and of course then of all the practices which we've shared with you earlier also, how we make sure that they do things which protect the environment, which creates a mess. They can create a awareness campaign, they can spread messages, and again through the units which teach. So the teachers are again supposed to think, okay, how can I bring in the environmental aspect into this unit which I'm teaching? So all that is planned, done before the year starts collaboratively, and then through those learning engagements we make the children do a lot of things like that. And right now, very recently, in fact, the whole primary and middle is engaged in a climate action project, CAP. I don't know if you've heard. It's a worldwide, caught on a lot.
Yeah.
And they are globally connecting with children from other schools, and they are talking about local issues, national issues, and they are finding solutions. They are brainstorming, and they're making videos, and they're going to be presenting this. And Jane Goodall and Dalai Lama, they're all endorsing this climate action project. It's a 6-week program, and I think it's beautifully designed. This is the 4th year. We've stepped into it this year. So primary and middle, every child is engaged in this, and I'm sure it's going to raise their environmental consciousness level to the next degree. Again, the
I
onus is
think this
on
is
us,
one.
I think. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is one aspect of learning that, about environment consciousness, about climate change. These are the things that should be in the forefront of learning for not only the students, for all of us, because then we can't take it back. It's going to be very, very
It is the
difficult
need
to
of the hour.
undo.
It is the need of the
Absolutely.
hour also now. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Rimaji, I want to ask you that your school was part of the fellowship and awards for volunteering and social giving, and social awareness that you're bringing about in the students, that it's not only that you do things for yourself but also volunteer to make the world a better place, and how you can give in any which way, any capacity that you are, even as children, back into the society. So I'd like you to share some of the programs that your school is and the children are involved into, making the world a little better, volunteering, giving, and helping out.
Yeah. So here, we are a GPS, and the motto is service before self. And also, again, the IB philosophy lays a lot of emphasis on community service right from the primary. So again, it's a natural part of our teaching and learning. And I think from the primary school itself, children are involved in a lot of service projects. In fact, the teachers, the units, when we are planned, at the end of every unit, we ask, so what? So what if we are teaching this to the child? So what if they are learning it? What are they going to do with this learning? So the teachers are supposed to ask that question to themselves first. So what? If they don't get an answer, that means they need to change that big idea what they want to teach, because we want the children to take that and make a difference. It could be begin with themselves. Small children will probably begin with themselves, then within their family, within their school community, and then the older children can take it beyond. So similarly, in the middle school also, there's something called service as action. Children have to clock in hours for service as action from grade 6 onwards. We involve them in student-led, they have student-led projects and we have school-led projects. They have to be part of both. And similarly, in grade 11th and 12th, there's something called community service, and children have to, again, take part in that. So at every stage of school, the IB schooling, they are involved in community service and giving back to the community. And children come up with wonderful ideas. School-led projects we have two NGOs, Bagia and me. We have adopted for last 4 years. We are working with them, and every year children go regularly on a regular basis. We support them with academics. We support them with social emotional learning, sanitation. We talk about, and celebrations, and we've had invited them to school to take part in sports events. We've hosted them for that. So that's an ongoing project which every year every grade is involved. We have our patrons have a Alia charitable trust. So we have a carnival every year. We call it Rapta, which is connections with family and community, and we raise a lot of funds with that for that trust. So that looks after takes care of treatment for underprivileged children, people who can't afford. So that trust is there. That's again a project which is there. Individually, I'm very proud to share there are lots of projects, children take part. There's a child who started share, he started giving meals. He began with giving meals to the underprivileged children and then share a meal. And it eventually, over the year, it became an NGO. And a lot more other children got involved. So now it's a proper organization. It has become Share a Meal, and they again look after academics also. They've adopted that area where those children are and taken it to the next level over there. Children do a lot of work for animals also. Okay, if you call that, giving back to the community.
Of course, it is. It is.
So one child developed an app where if you see an injured animal, injured bird, you can immediately, put that on that message on that app, and somebody from a shelter, animal shelter, will come and rescue that animal. So this was, using technology, using those skills, and he put together an app to help.
What classes are these two children?
This is middle school. This is
So
middle
eighth
school.
and seventh,
Yeah,
eighth.
ninth onwards. Yeah, and then we had a recycled paper. We had notebook making project for a long time, and we gave that to an NGO. So the children made, paper mache, and they made notebooks in the art room along with their own hands. Then we also have art is a very big thing in the IBP. We if you ask me to draw, I would still draw those five mountains and the stream and those two, three birds and the sun, which we used to draw. But children these days can really, given the platform, given the right environment, they come up with amazing work in the primary. And we also teach them things like Wali and Madhubani and, proper themes and concepts. So we had this primary school children who taught the didis and bhaiyas who were interested after school series of they did art classes where they taught them Burli and Madhubani paintings. So that was an interaction with them and teaching them those skills, and it was a wonderful exercise. And then the didis taught them how to make diyas and all for Diwali. So there is a lot of opportunity for this kind of interaction also, and I think we have to keep the children grounded because honestly, children coming to an IB school are a privileged lot. They have things much easier than many others. So all the more reason that responsibility is on us, and I think IB as a body and organization is also very very conscious of that. So we have to embed social service and community service into our curriculum and give evidence that we are doing it. When these inspections happen for us, we have to give evidence, and they ask the children also and the parents also. We have a teach I mean we and I always say that the adults are the role models for the children here. Parents also, they have to start some traditions which children can carry forward, whether it's on your birthday or whether it's on your your father's birthday. Do something which then becomes a tradition. Like in my family, on a birthday, we go to an orphanage. They're one off things, but something is better than nothing. It's easy to give money, but you need to do little more than that.
Participate.
Yeah, so that and teachers I always tell them, if you're doing something nice, come and talk about it. You are the role model. Share your stories. So we had one teacher who used to donate her hair for the cancer, and then we had two three girls in the middle school who started doing that, seeing the teacher, they idolized the teacher, and they started doing. So they started donating their hair to the cancer organization who use that hair. So we as adults play a very big role in guiding the children and being role models for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you talked about the fact that creativity is a great tool, and everyone is creative. Everyone has some kind of a creative flair. Everybody needs to express. And secondly, there is no age for learning.
There's
You
no
said that the didis and bhaiyas were learning from children, and children were learning from. That's a very beautiful, again a very beautiful value that is being created. That you can learn from. The younger lot and you can learn from the older lot. I also would like to ask you that you talked about the fact that the students go out doing so many other projects that your school is part of. Tell me something. Has Have you seen the changes in your students after they have been participating in these volunteering or social giving activities? Because empathy and emotional intelligence are two very important values and tools that children of this era, 21st century, need to have. So share with us some kind of anecdotes or something like that, that you saw the shift in the change in the mindset and ideas like that.
Yeah, so I see there's always a children are different, and there's always somebody who gets more influenced by others, and so it's not just like everybody will immediately jump on
Same.
the bandwagon. Yeah, so
True.
yeah, there are lots of things, and I've seen this happen. A group of girls who've got together and they've started a campaign. They've realized, especially these days on mental health. So they have started a campaign on that. They're creating awareness. They've created an Instagram page, and they talking about it in assemblies, because they're probably realizing amongst their peers, they have talked about that children are stressed also. Children are missing so many things during this lockdown
Absolutely.
time, and not necessarily they want to talk to everybody about it, neither to their parents, neither to the teachers. They put up a brave front. So they have created this kind of an avenue for the children, for their friends and peers, to be able to talk about it. So children do take lead in such matters. And I had a girl who started a bird club, bird watching, bird club. So she was so passionate, and she realized, she read about it, and then a lot of children joined her. So she took an initiative there, and so they used to come back and share in the assembly. So there are lots of things children do like this. I remember once during the summer, the primary children decided they're going to have, a lemonade sale. Uh, and they generated some funds, and they wanted to give it to one particular support staff in our school who was in need of some money. So it just came from them that, okay, ma'am, we will bring Nimbu Pani from home, and we will, all the parents who come to pick up their children in the afternoon when dispersal time, they're all standing in a queue, and I'm sure they will all love to have one glass of Nimbu Pani at that time. So they set up a stall, and they got some, not a very big amount, but they managed to generate some funds, and they happily gave it to the didi who needed that. So this came from the children, so they are watching, they are listening, they are learning, and we have to give them the platform to be able to do that and take it forward.
Lovely. Rima ji, tell me, you're the founder principal of DPS International in Delhi. Share with us that journey, because from the inception stage to bringing the school into reality and doing all of those. Share some insights and some learning from that aspect of
Yeah,
your
I
life.
think it's been a wonderful journey, almost 7 years now. And I taught in Dubai in DPS. That was the national curriculum. So I think I'm completing a cycle now, coming back to DPS again. I was in Hyderabad when I wanted to move to Delhi, and DPS happened. And being an IB school, I was immediately, okay, yes, I had been with the IB for the last 14 years. So I wanted to continue with this curriculum. And I think we started with a batch of 35 children and 7 8 teachers. 2014, the first day, we dug up a time capsule and put in lots of things in that, which we just took out 5 years ago. We took it out, and we put that all in a frame, framed all the write-ups and everything the children had put in that time capsule. 5 years had passed. It's been a wonderful journey, a lot of hard work, I have to say, but a very, very supportive management who gave me, who totally believed in me. They have schools which have the national curriculum. I think this was a new thing for them also. First time they were setting up an international school. So, and being the first DPS to offer the IB, that responsibility, that pride, and that responsibility is on me even now, I feel. And so we started small. We started with the primary. I got a lot of good faculty whom some way or the other I had been connected with them. So a lot of people came whom I knew. I have a fantastic leadership team. Both my principals, who so I mean, and I totally believe in shared leadership. It's always very collaborative. And so with grade 5 we started, then we added 2 classes of middle school, and then two more and two more, and now this is the first batch of grade 12th which graduated this year. So there are still so many firsts for me. I still feel there are so many firsts I have to do. It's not done, and there are miles to go before I sleep. But it's been a wonderful journey. I have learned every day. I was a new head. I have totally risen from the ranks, everything, because on the job I have learned. I honestly don't remember anything I did in my BEd. I have learned on the job, but it's been hard work. It's been the support of people. My human resource is my biggest resource, I feel. And we got the foundation right. I think we got the foundation right. We had a vision, we had a mission. The management allowed me to invest in the professional capital which I needed. I think that's why where we are today. Hello, have I lost you?
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Some, yes, some issue at my end that I'm not aware of. Sorry about that.
Okay,
Can you hear me
so
now?
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
I
Yeah,
can hear you.
let's carry forward. Yes.
So,
Lost
so
you for a minute. Half a
sorry.
minute.
Yeah, okay. So as I was saying, we got the foundation right. I had the support. I was able to choose the faculty. We had a mission and a vision, and we invested in the right human resource, because I think that's the biggest resource you have. And now I think this pandemic has made me realize, no matter how beautiful your school and your infrastructure is, it's the people who are going to run the school virtually. So and we all put in, I think, all the hard work, and there was a passion because it was new. Everything was happening first time we are doing this, first accreditation, first grade 10th, first grade 12th there, so I think it all came together, and till today I think it's really been wonderful. There's not a day which I feel, okay, no, either I feel that I can rest and put my feet up, no, or I don't want to do that. No, I still want to do that, and there are so many firsts for me waiting to be done. As
Beautiful. You talk about the fact that anything that you take on, um, head that wears the crown also has to deal with the responsibility, and that's the most beautiful thing that you said. And also that right kind of human resource, that schools can be IB, beautiful building, air conditioned, and all of that is of no consequence if you don't have great values and great human resource to take those things forward. Wonderful. That's such a great learning. I'm going to be asking you my last question before I invite Jerry back into the conversation. Is that how have COVID times been? Because we've been talking to a lot of school leaders, a lot of teachers in our learning experience, and for us, school teachers, principals, school leaders, and students are great heroes in the true sense, because in these pandemic times that are going to go down the history, students and teachers have shown such great resilience and adaptability and brilliant results on all of that. So tell us about your DPS international story of the COVID times, something that we can take home as a learning for everyone who's watching the program.
So again, we've been a Microsoft Showcase school for last 6 years. So we had the infrastructure, we had the training in, and I'm very passionate about technology myself. And I'm sharing this now during the appointment also, I'm very keen to know the tech skills of the teacher. And I categorize the teacher into a speedboat or a rowboat or a tugboat who will need the push. There are speedboats who are ready to take on new things, and they're ready to just go ahead with new technology tools. There are some who need a push, some who are like the anchor who will really need a push. So somewhere I think that passion has also rubbed off on teachers, and I always tell them they have to clock in 12 hours of tech learning every year. That's a commitment they have to give me, that they will spend 10-12 hours every year to learn new things and report that to me. So we had the infrastructure in place. Children already have a device. We have a bring your own device policy. Every teacher has a device, and every child from middle school has a device. And we already had taken on Microsoft Teams as a platform, because somewhere we have started realizing we are losing a lot of teaching days because of so many kinds of unusual holidays declared by the government. The pollution day, could be some some other thing happening, this andolan happening, that. So we have started a lot of hybrid teaching had started, but it was in pockets. Some teachers were doing it well, some teachers were doing it randomly, one lesson here, there. And we, just before the lockdown, we were going into a midterm break. We had huge, we had a full day training with Microsoft Teams. Okay, this I think March, second week of March. And then we went for a midterm break. Little did we know that we'll never come back from the midterm break. So we were all trained for it, but we had not implemented that Microsoft Teams across the schools. across the school. So I think 2 days teachers, we took just 2 days to just put up lesson plans, put our timetable online. Of course, bring parents on board. Middle school and senior school children were already on board, but the primary, it was new. So that 2 days, I call it that unsettled phase. Then we went through the the learning phase, and now it's the growth phase. So we've all now very well settled into this routine. We have a mix of synchronous, asynchronous learning. We've created all kinds of guidelines, all kind of podcasts, and to help parents, to help children. And teachers are also always under the pressure to create new things because children will get bored also very soon. So we have brought in a lot of social emotional learning engagements for them. We have between the classes, we have sensory breaks. I had a chat with almost every child I went into assemblies, into the classes, that physical literacy is equally important, just like digital literacy. We are focusing on, being a good digital citizen because of the pandemic. Don't forget being physically fit also. So, a lot of strategies have been shared with the children. And now I think we are very well settled. And now when I talk to the older children, grade 12th, I'm meeting one by one, and nobody wants to come back to school. They're very happy. They think everything is happening, ma'am. We'll only come for the exam. So here we are at the moment, but of course we are all missing each other, and would want to come back to the school as soon as we can, because I tell them, you still can't play your cricket or your basketball on the field. You need to be back to the school for that. So the online learning platform has worked well for us. We've had every possible event from the school. We've had a investiture ceremony, we've had PTM, we've had graduation, grade 12 graduation, and we have showcase. We have, we have to do a lot of learning showcase with the parents. Orientations we've done, all is happening very well. Exams we've done online. So this is not going to go anywhere now. It's going to become part of the future also. It's going to be a hybrid learning model. We've all realized that now. But again, we had the infrastructure and we had the trained staff for that. So it's been easy. It's been quite a smooth journey.
It's been easy for it. So tell me something about the what's happening around our country, around our world right now. Be it the national education policy. Does that affect the IB school?
No, it doesn't. In fact, a lot has been adopted from the IB practices.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's good. It's good that we are thinking, to bring in those.
Tell me something. What's happening around the country about the lawlessness, the rapes, the social issues, and things like that. So how, and of course the mental health part of the pandemic, and all these things that are happening in the world around these students. How do you kind of bring about learning from, or awareness and consciousness about doing the right thing and speaking about the right thing in the students in the lockdown period? Because I know that had the school been on day to day, there are debates happening, in the school assemblies, we talk about it, we do skits about it, we do art around it. How are you taking up these real palpable issues that are happening in our society? Because the learning has to go on. So are you doing something around that with your students?
So as you said, it has to be addressed. We cannot brush it under the carpet. The older children know what's happening. We have to talk. So teachers in the classrooms talk. There are discussions, there are debates, there is assembly is one platform. Again, as you said, we do that. And I hope the parents are also doing their bit, because children aren't home at the moment. So all the opportunity we get, and again, when we are planning our teaching and learning, whatever fits in, through that unit, then the learning is in that context of that unit. So teachers bring in those topics. As I said, we don't have textbooks. Teachers have to bring in the newspaper is one of the biggest textbook which we have. So what's the real life situation at the moment? Weave that into your teaching and learning for the day. Teachers do that. We used to get the newspaper for children also. We had the children's edition newspaper used to come every day, and it was a ritual that every teacher would read with the children through that. So these are the only ways we can talk to them. We can, help them understand the right and wrong and get their ideas and views. We have to talk about it. And I think what's happening around the world, every time what you see on the news, which unpleasant, I think the key to everything is education. The key to everything is education. And that's what in this country we need to really focus on, education at the grassroots level also, which is not there. There is such inequity. That I think will only be able to bring about some change, and clean up the environment in every possible way. I really wish our government would
So is
focus
it
on this.
education? So is it education, learning, or mindset? I will leave at that note and invite Jerry back into the conversation and take this part also forward. So I'll invite Jerry back into the conversation here.
Okay.
So namaste once again, Rima ma'am.
Namaste.
Yeah, so that was an interesting conversation, and I was just wondering, since we were talking about education could address all these issues.
You're very faint, Jerry. Is it faint for me? Or?
I was saying that since you were saying that education can address all these issues, uh,
A lot of this.
a lot of this, right? So, do you think our education, because I mean, it's not just what happened in the Hathras case. I'm just trying to figure because, and I'm just going to ramble a little. Uh, the past 4 months have been pretty appalling and disgusting. Right from the time Sushant Singh Rajput died, where many educated people, and I unfriended them on my Facebook and LinkedIn, would keep posting that it's a murder. They got completely thrashed and misled by the likes of Arnab. And if a rogue like Arnab can mislead you, it really reflects on your education and your your grasp to analyze things. And these are very educated people who've gone to premier schools and colleges. They even got into debates, and I didn't want to debate with them because from the very beginning, it was very clear that the Mumbai police had done their job. And it was a case of clinical depression because Sushant Singh Rajput was suffering from that. The psychiatrist who was treating him had gone on record and said that he was not taking his medication, etc. But here it was entirely so. That was one thing. Then you had the so in all that hullabaloo, so many other major issues were not addressed. The lack of good governance, the way society, forget state because state is completely useless. So we won't talk about the politics and the government and them because I've given up on them. They are completely useless. But society, the way we mistreated our migrant labor, people who are educated and so-called elitist who live in fancy luxury apartments and condominiums in Gurgaon, Bombay, New York, had fired their car drivers, their car cleaners, their house help, and car cleaners and house help in Gurgaon get paid between 800 rupees to 3,000, 4,000 rupees because they couldn't enter the buildings. So they were fired willy-nilly. So that was another thing which makes you wonder whether these people are really educated. Then then of course the Hathras incident and complete radio silence, TV silence. The same people who are following the likes of Arnab and all those guys like Rahul Kanwal, etc., who were just trying to generate TRPs, were absolutely indifferent to the to the fact that a girl was raped, mutilated, killed, and 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 more so, the silence was more appalling because no one was standing up for her because she was from the so-called lower caste and raped by the so-called upper caste Thakur boys, like it is their birthright and entitlement to rape girls from the lower caste. And a state that is trying to cover up with the where they even hired a PR agency called Concept PR to hush it up, right? This was done by a person who calls himself Yogi, and yogis are supposed to be enlightened. Okay, and more like a rogi. I mean, an absolute diseased person, mentally diseased, emotionally diseased. If you can cover up a incident like that and say that no rape has happened, so they went on record and said no crime has happened. And then finally, when pressure happened and CBI swung into action, which is again manipulated and controlled by the state machinery, they went ahead and communalized that also and arrested some Muslim boys. To what has happened in the past 2 days with Tanishq, right? And the trolls, and these are not trolls who are uneducated because they're trolls who are on Twitter. There are trolls who are on Facebook. There are trolls who are on Instagram. Even I'm not on Instagram. So they are the younger lot, and they went on record trolling the Tanishq ad, saying that this goes against our Hindu whatever they believe in, that Hindutva nonsense, right? Without even realizing that there was never any religion called Hindu, because Hindu per se is a word which is, I mean, most of these people call themselves educated and they think Hindu is a religion. Even Hinduism is not a religion, because Hindu as a word actually came into being because the Persians, who were the first migrants into the state, could not pronounce that, and instead of pronouncing all those people living by the river Sindhu, which is the Indus River today, they would just say those Hindus. So that's how the Hindu word came into being, because people of that time used to follow a path called Sanatan Dharma, the path of righteousness and truth, which is now called Hindu. And I'm trying to figure where is the righteousness and truth, but that's a bigger question. The more relevant question to you as an educator is, one is what happened with Tanishq. Okay, that they were trolled to pull down that ad only because you show a Hindu girl who's married into a Muslim household, and a beautiful gesture where the mother-in-law is saying, we will celebrate you, because how does a rivaj matter in relationships of love, right? So why are we talking about rivaj? Don't worry about it. So it was a beautiful gesture, actually. Now that secular word has become a problem for them, because I mean, they actually call anybody who talks secular, they call you secular like it's an abuse. It sounds like an abuse. So I'm really trying to figure, is our education system really worth it? Because after what has happened with Tanishq, you see a debate happening on social media again, and I've again unfriended a few people, and these are people who are some of our karmaveers. I won't name them. You're blaming the Tatas, that the Tatas did a cowardly act. Arey, use some logic, use some rationale, use some reasoning, that the Tatas had to take an important decision, not just because of profiteering, but they had to take an important decision because of the trolls can be doing the
Yeah.
mess online, the vandals who are on the street, who are gundas, who are antisocial elements, can attack people in Tanishq showroom. These are middle class employees, and they won't know how to protect them, right? And they'll cover it up as vigilantism because nobody can be arrested, right? Like they've done with people who are
So
killed because of cow meat or whatever. So today, today, in fact, it's a fact that the cow is more protected than the women,
yeah, I know we've heard
right?
that all. We've all heard
No,
that.
and it's not a meme. It's not a Facebook or a WhatsApp meme. It is a fact, because you actually have Gaurakshaks who are paid, right? But there is no semblance of security and protection for the women, for our girls, right? So it's probably good that we kill the girl child before she's born. I'm saying it on record today, because why have them at all when you can't even protect them? And and it's such a hypocrisy that for the next 9 days they'll be worshipping one goddess called Ma Durga. Then around Diwali time they'll be all meandering around to worship Ma Lakshmi, who's their biggest goddess because she brings in the money. So what is this education all about, ma'am? I'm just trying to figure. I know I've rambled and meandered all over, but I'm trying to figure that if these educated people behave like this, where they have mindless debates and absolute no logic or reasoning, what is that education all about? Is it education at all?
Well, Jerry, you've said it all. I mean, you've said what do I say now? You know, what when I say education, I mean to know the difference between right and wrong, to be self-sufficient, to be able to think clearly, to be able to think, positively. Having an opinion is fine, but I really can't say anything about what's happening nowadays. It is something which I cannot relate to, like Tanishq ad also, as you said. I have lived in so many cities, met so many friends from all different cultures, learned a bit of Gujarati, learned a bit of Marathi. Wherever we've been, we've adopted one tradition, one festival from there, wherever we spend time. So it's very difficult for me to understand. But I think education does make a difference because it gives you the right mindset. The right and wrong has to be taught to the children, has to be taught. But And whatever is happening on television and all, who's watching it? It is you and I, the kinds who are watching it. The people who are deprived of education are not watching it.
Absolutely.
They
Absolutely.
don't know the okay. If you're talking about any severe punishment being given to somebody who's committed a crime, we know now what is a punishment for rape.
Right.
It could be death penalty. But where it
Right.
is happening, the people who are doing it, they are not watching what's happening. So at that level, we need to bring some difference. We need to
Right.
change their mindset. We need to make them aware, and we need education will engage them in better things than what they are doing now.
Right. But I mean, I must tell you this: at least half a dozen people, if not more, are women who were trained by me, right? In large corporates of India. And I'm going back to the Sushant Singh Rajput case now. When this entire hullabaloo started about Kangana Ranaut making noise, it's a murder. Arnav Goswami making noise, it's a murder. And I had posted something about uh, a murder which had, I'll tell you what I had posted about without telling you the names of the people. And then I just said, it's pointless trying to change these people's mindsets because it's so deeply embedded. It cannot be cleaned. It has to be cleansed. Need to go into the brain and suck this out of them, right? So this is like a educated woman, right? And mind you, from some of your convent schools in Kolkata, Loretta, right? I know her background, and and she used to work. I mean, she still probably works. In between, she wanted to work with us at Rex, and I'm happy that it didn't work out. So I had sent out a mail about a young cricketer called Karan Tiwari. The suicide of a young cricketer, Karan Tiwari, is yet another lesson and reminder for all parents. She happened to be in a broadcast list. Now, this boy died in because of depression,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And everyone accepted it as depression. And I only wrote that our education and nurture should empower us to develop our ability for coping and resilience and learning to learn about living our life through all ups and downs rather than ending a beautiful life and a wonderful journey because of any minor or major setback. So, because of the peer pressure of showing that you are some successful dude, right? That you made the cut in the Ivy League or you made the cut in the cricket team. And then when you don't get that, you don't make the cut, you go and commit suicide. So, I had put the post out as a reminder to parents and teachers that teach kids resilience and coping. She writes to me, "Hey Jerry, it's always nice to see you taking interest around what's happening around us. So why not a word about SSR yet?" This is after the hullabaloo had started. So I said, it's all posted on FB. I have posted. He died of clinical depression. So it's the same thing. Again, as far as I'm concerned, okay, if your career was not taking off, too bad. Nepotism is a way of life, it's there in every sector. So if you chose to take your life, frankly, I feel it's a life loss, but I really have no sympathies or pity for you because your resilience was weak. You should have worked on that. Now, this was much before all the rot on him started coming out. That is a drug user, a womanizer. And by actually trying to get him justice, they've completely tarnished his image, which could have been kept intact. And his family has played a huge role in that because they were trying to benefit with some kind of crores which are figments of their very fertile imagination, which are not there, right? Because this man has spent all his money also. So if you have lavish lifestyle, just buying a telescope because you have a telescope at home doesn't make you a wise person or an intelligent person. So I never understood that entire banter which was happening. And I remember that this man's death, and I'm saying it on record. Maybe the Sushant Singh fans won't like it, but this is a fact of it, is that this man's movie called Bechara Dil or Dil Bechara, and while my heart cries that a young life was lost, I feel you should have put in a little more effort into your talent and sharpening your talent rather than taking your talent for granted, which is what we teach in our Mojo Inspirator lessons, continuous improvement. And I remember even my kids saw Dil Bechara or Bechara Dil, whatever the movie, which is a mindlessly copied, plagiarized version of The Fault in Our Stars. And I saw 10 minutes of it and I said that Josh Green will probably sue these guys. Josh Green is the author of that book.
Yeah.
Because if you see the first 10, 15 minutes, he's actually hamming us Shah Rukh Khan. Where is your identity? Right? I've seen Chichode and I think the message was good. The acting was mediocre. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to say is here is a guy who couldn't cope with his failures, who couldn't cope with his illness. So he committed suicide. So yes, I sympathize with him, but I won't go to town crying that it is murder and there's justice for Sushant because he's a victim of nepotism. Nepotism is a way of life. Nepotism happens in schools. Nepotism happens with school admissions. My kids were a victim of nepotism in the schools. But does that mean that you take your life? So I said, I put that. Oh, so she says, okay, you too. Got nothing more to say. Right. So I sent her a whole lot of information saying that look at this and apply some logic. Just don't go by the wild rants. And then I blocked her. Then finally, when the CBI report came out, I sent her a message. And then she says, yeah, you were right. But I said, you were behaving so unreasonable that you were not even ready. While I was still entertaining your opinions and views, you were not even ready to accept that a view could be that they've just committed suicide. Now, my point is the reason I'm going about this is that these are all very educated people. Like I've given you a background about this lady. She's from Loretta. She's from some premier institution where she studied her law or whatever. But it comes back to that what Hein Jennert said that is our education really making these people good human beings, better human beings? Are they applying their mind? And the bigger fear is that if your mind can get twisted with with I call it idol worship, metany idols. You know, we are a country of idol worshippers. But if your mind can get twisted with fake news
Yeah.
about suicide, which is being tried to make into a murder, and you fall for it. Now, if these six people in a broadcast of 2,000 people is like they've at least voiced it to me, right? But there must be so many people who've not voiced it, right? Because they're like, okay, Jerry's spoken about some cricketer committing suicide. They're not connected. But in the 2,000 people, I would think at least 500 people are there who think Sushant Singh Rajput was a murder. And they're all educated people because many of them have been trained by me. And they work in the Fortune 500 companies in fancy roles as GMs and VPs, etc. Then you're wondering that with fake lies, the complete principle of democracy is completely compromised, which means that we are living in very dangerous times. And the problem is not the people who are uneducated and in rural India, because I think they are not bothered about all this because they are waiting for their next big roti. They don't give a damn about religion. They don't give a damn about Donald Trump or Narendra Modi because their situation remains the same. And yet they are the vote bank. But the people who can influence the right choices as people in government office, because government office is our office, it's a democracy, it's people power, are so badly compromised that you're trying to figure that is it better to stay uneducated than be educated?
Now, I know what you mean here, Jerry, and I think it varies from individual to individual. I can talk about myself. Thank God I'm so busy with my job and with my life that I don't have time to see so much. What I've heard a lot more from you today about what's happening, so many things. Honestly, I have to have clear boundaries of how much news I will see because I know media is playing such a big role. One hears a bit about it, but I think it's a personal choice where you should draw the boundary, what you want to hear and how much you want to know, because
Correct.
there's no end to this. And you're right, educated people are the ones who have the opinion and they have the platform to express that opinion, and it's their opinion. Given a choice, I would watch a tennis match on TV if I have some time rather than put on any channel. I get my in shorts, I get a bit of news, I know what's happening, I catch up, that's it. So
Right. And I must tell you, I don't read newspapers nor watch news channels. So whatever happens, happens because people are writing to me, because they're actually asking me, how come you never took up a stand for Sushant Singh Rajput? Right. So I
you
mean,
don't have to. You don't have to.
right.
Everybody doesn't have to.
No,
That,
the point is, I would love to take a stand if something is wrong, because I don't want to live in apathy also. But the point is, there's nothing wrong over here.
yeah.
But you got misled. So what I'm saying is, for me, it's not that you should not have an opinion. You should have an opinion, but form your opinion in the right way, not just by going with fake news and peddled news. And at the same time, I wouldn't say cut off also, because that apathy is also hurting us.
That's right. Yeah, but
Yeah.
then I mean, there's a way to express your opinion also.
Right. Absolutely.
The right
Absolutely.
platform in the right
Absolutely.
manner.
No, yeah, but it's not just about the opinion. My bigger thing is that has our education really worked? Because the 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 systemic failure of the system is something which is like a,
The education doesn't make you like this. It's the environment which shapes you. It's your thinking. There are so many other factors which contribute to what you become.
so it's all nature and nurture.
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
but then education should have made us, the entire concept of education is to enable the reasoning power of human beings.
Let's talk of examples which are there, which have come out well, good.
No, but
They-
that's not the larger mass. No, the larger mass now, and I completely agree with you with what Margaret Mead said, that at the end of the day, change is always led by the few. But and that's good that the few are still there who are trying to make a change. But my concern is that if you get outnumbered by this majority, it's really a dangerous
It is. I know what you
it,
mean. Yeah.
it's a dangerous trend, because and I and I don't practice any religion, but whether I like it or not, I'm stuck with a name like Geronimo Almeida, right? It's very dangerous for somebody like me and my family, because you can't explain to this mob that I'm not a practicing Christian, right? So it's a matter of time before they come after you and me.
True.
And that's what we put in a video of ours a few days back, that we have not woken up about Hathras. We need a awakening to happen every time. And it was a message more for my Hindu friends, that after the Muslims and Catholics are over, then they'll start coming after the slightly higher Hindus, then the slightly higher Hindus, because even the Brahmins have a hierarchy, even the untouchables have a hierarchy. And by the time they come for the highest Hindus, then it is a matter of figuring out who is needed and who is not. So it may be too late for you to save yourself. Yes, we will all be gone, the Muslims and the Catholics who have become a problem for you. And unfortunately, this narrative is happening everywhere. You speak in a panel, you will have somebody saying that, why are you taking up for Stan Swami? He deserved it because he's an Naxalite. How is a man who's working, and what works against me is because you're a Catholic, you're taking up for him. But I'm not a Catholic. Now, how many people do I explain that to? So that's becoming a concern, and that's becoming the dangerous trend, because you see somebody like a Father Stan Swami, who's a harmless, frail, we forgot to talk about him, feeble man. And these are educated people. A man, and I'll name him, a man called Sanjay Bide, who in a Asian African group, Sanjay Bide he calls himself the founder and the chief convener of. And I told him, I said, "Oh, I don't want to engage with you. I won't stoop to your level of getting abusive." In a forum, the African Asian Forum, and people actually intervened and told him that, no, why are you saying anything to him? He's just speaking about somebody who was raped and that the state has failed her. Why are you trying to say he's trying to take up for somebody who's a priest? We've seen his posts in the past, and is clearly not somebody who believes in religion. But this man went on, Sanjay Bide, and is an elderly man, very educated man, again, right? And if you do a net search on Sanjay Bide, you'll get who he is. But runs some business chamber out of Bombay. So these guys are very subservient to the administration because of their business interests. But hey, don't try to kind of not be reasonable to understand that Stan Swami, who's working for people the poor and the marginalized, whose property and rights are being usurped because of some crony capitalism, and you frame him so that you can show that he was converting people. And and I've spoken against conversions, but what I'm trying to say is it's a dangerous trend, because in the Congress regime there was Salva Judum, which was doing something similar. And Salva Judum was a body which was formed as a quasi government law and order firm, but actually it was anti-constitutional because that was done in the Congress regime. So whether it's Congress or BJP, we are no better. So I'm apolitical, not religious, but the point is you can't have a healthy debate with anybody right now, because the more educated they are, the worse they are, because they immediately put you in a, it's them versus us. You're one of them. You are taking up for the Muslims and the Catholic because you're one of them. Oh, so and these are the same people. Some of them I went to school with, right? So it's actually very concerning. That's why I said let me get some insights from you on that. I went to a school called St. Xavier's High School, and one of my schoolmates is one of them who said, Stan, you. He actually had the audacity, and his name is Shashank Shah. I'll name the guys because we should name them and shame them. He's 12 years my senior in school, and he writes to me that you guys have it coming now. You Muslims and Christians deserve it. I said, is this what Xavier's taught you? I said, I don't want to talk to you anymore. It disgusts me, you know. And if you think that we have it coming, then what Xavierite values are we talking about, right? Because in Xavier's,
I'm sure he didn't learn that there. So this one saying the environment changes you, you know,
yeah, but
you
then
outgrow that education. I don't know what, you don't do the right things with the education. I don't know.
right.
That's
A-
sad.
and this is that's what I'm trying to relate, that I understand the environment, which is psychological studies, that we are products of nature and nurture. And then of course, unlike animals, we are called rational animals because we have the power of reasoning. But if that education is not building the power of reasoning, it basically means that we are not training the right side of the brain well. We're only training the left side of the brain, which is programmed donkeys and career mules for the corporate sector. We are not training the right side, logical thinking, creative thinking, critical thinking, lo- reasoning. It's not been trained. This shows you this trend is dangerous. So I think that's my humble submission and final insight on this, that pretty much research done on this, that most of the education trains the left side of the brain. So I think we need to shift gears and move to training the right side of the brain so that people can reason better, people can apply logic better, because just by saying and our environment is going to go from bad to worst, because now everybody will use this trend to polarize people. It's happening the world over. It's not just an Indian problem anymore. In India, of course, it's more stark. So I think we seriously need to rethink this. And with the way they are implementing NEP, that's another fearful factor, because they can even communalize education altogether. So I'll end with that, because we can go on, because it's a topic dear to my heart, and a little weighing down the soul nowadays, because it's getting very scary, right? So these are the conversations you're having in school groups and places there, and it hurts. Anyway, thank you so much. Great insights coming from you, Rimaji, and I'm happy to know that you, despite all the environment and all, are keeping a cool, rational, logical head in thinking, and it's very important to impart that to the children also.
Thank you. It was
Thank you.
wonderful to be here and talk to both of you.
Have a
Thank
great evening, ma'am. Thank you, Itu. See
thank
you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Rimaji. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Pleasure having you.